Good day everyone, good day ma'am. I'm Genevieve Aliling and I was assigned for additional info about gender-based violence. So, gender-based violence is one of the most common and widespread human rights violations. It is a violence directed against someone on the basis of their gender or sexual identity, which results in physical, sexual, or psychological harm. These acts violate an individual's human rights. So, gender-based violence is most commonly perpetrated by men against women, girls, and other vulnerable people. However, men can also be victims of gender violence by women, respectively. So, who are these perpetrators? So, the first one is non-partner violence. It is a violence inflicted by someone you do not know well, like strangers, acquaintances, or colleagues. However, violence is generally perpetrated by someone you are close to this, known as interpersonal violence, which is perpetrated by either a friend, your best friend, or your close friend, or even your family member, like your father, your brother, etc. So the second one is intimate partner violence. It is perpetrated by someone you are in an intimate partner relationship with a lover, a spouse, or even your ex partner. So there are different types of violence. So first is physical violence. Um, this is This violence is it is the intentional use of physical force or threats of violence from a pinch to punch. Any act or threats of violence is damaging, whether the damage can be seen or not. So the second violence is sexual violence. This violence is forcing, intimidating, or even tricking someone to engage in any sexual act against their will. Any sexual act with someone who is unable to understand what they're doing or was unable to consent because of their age, because of their illness, or because of their disability. All the influence of alcohol or other drugs is also a form of sexual violence. Forcing a lover or spouse to engage in sexual act is a form of sexual violence, either called marital rape or intimate partner rape. So the third violence is sexual harassment. Is also form of sexual violence that can either be verbal or physical. It occurs in private and public spaces, such as in schools. You can also be harassed in school sexually, or in workplaces, or in the streets, and on the public transport. You can also be sexually harassed. So the fourth violence is economic violence, which involves denying a person access to their money, economic activity, or other basic needs by either controlling their finances or stopping them from achieving financial independence. All of these forms of violence may lead to emotional and physical trauma. So the last violence is emotional violence. It can also include verbal abuse, humiliation, and controlling what a person can and cannot do. Emotional and economic violence are as equally damaging and disempowering as sexual and physical violence. These types of violence are often misunderstood or ignored by people, even though it's returned to for help, like the police, the courts, and other support structures. No matter who you are, where you live, or who is inflicting it. So gender-based violence is never acceptable. And the consequences of gender-based violence are devastating and can have lifelong repercussions. So when you say repercussion, it is unintended consequences for the survivors. So it can even lead to death because of the emotional damage they have encountered during this violence. So that would be all. Thank you and God bless.